Trayvon Martin, Caleb Smith, Ahmaud Arbery, Journey Thompson, Eddie Hill. All names from a long list of people taken from this world way too early from gun violence. Armed robbery, drive-by shootings, suicide by guns, and mass shootings have impacted all of the entire United States, directly or indirectly. There are several reasons that guns should be more regulated: to lessen gun-related crimes, to lessen gun-related deaths, and remove military-grade weapons from civilians. All of these reasons and more show the need for reform on gun laws. These people and their families cannot be overlooked after gun-related deaths. They had lives to live and people to love. America cannot stop saying their names until change is demanded and brought to action. First, I will discuss the problem of gun-related crimes. Then I will show how to have stricter regulations, how having stricter regulations would have solved the problem. Then I will discuss the problem of gun-related deaths, and I will show how stricter background checks would solve the problem as well. Then I will lastly discuss the problem of civilians having military-grade weapons, and then I will show how banning those types of machinery would solve the problems. To begin with, gun-related crimes in the U.S. Gun-related crimes in the U.S., for example, robbery, kidnapping, assault, coercion, and domestic violence, are all crimes that criminals have committed while using a gun as their defense or a threatening object. 34.5% of people in prison for robbery used a gun to commit their crime. 31.2% of people in prison for assault used a gun to assist in their crime without killing their victim, according to the U.S. Department of Justice website. The U.S. Department of Justice's website also noted that 40% of the prison inmates had a firearm on them at the time of the offense was committed. Stricter regulations on gun purchases should be put in place for criminals. Knowing someone has a violent criminal past should bar them from being able to obtain a firearm. This should especially be made a part of gun regulations if the criminal used a gun in their prior criminal convictions. A reason that could be argued against this is that the criminal did their time for their past offense and they should be rehabilitated by the justice system. 53% of inmates still have a gun after they serve their time and use it when committing a follow-up crime, stated by the U.S. Department of Justice. For this reason, people with violent criminal backgrounds should not have access to guns. Guns can be used in crimes that often lead to death. Gun-related deaths most commonly include suicide, murder, and mass shootings. In 2019, at least 15,000 people were fatally shot, according to the data collected by the website Gun Violence Archive. This is a 3% increase from data in 2018, but below the peak number from deaths in 2017, stated by the Trace, a news website, in the article called Gun Deaths Inched Up in 2019. Stricter background checks like mental health and criminal history are needed to lower the number of gun-related deaths. The majority gun-related deaths are from suicide, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, and those who do not have stable mental health should not be permitted to have a gun. Another large percentage of gun-related deaths are from mass shootings, where the shooter is not mentally sound and should not have access to a gun as well. To fix this, a mental health check needs to be done before a gun can be purchased. This will eliminate hundreds of deaths by firearm every year and would make the world a much safer place. Though mental health and criminal history background checks would help in gun-related deaths, it's not mentioned in the Second Amendment, therefore it is not required to add a background check at the time. People could also use the argument that mental health and criminal background could be invasive. This is true, but it should be amended to the Constitution to make the world a safer place today. Finally, citizens should not have access to military-grade weapons. There's no reason that anyone should be in possession of a weapon that is used to cause mass killings designed for war. These weapons are available for regular citizens and have been used in numerous mass shootings, stated by the Washington Post. In the article, opponents of gun reform say nothing can be done. Science says they're wrong. The Las Vegas massacre, the Pulse nightclub shooting, and the Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting have all used machine guns that should only be used in the time of war when approved by the U.S. military. They are only there for the use of military. They should only be used for the military, but are used for mass shootings as well. These should be banned from being in the hands of civilians. They are not trained to handle these guns, and therefore they have all been used incorrectly. They are not self-defense weapons, just used as something to kill multiple people at a rapid pace. Marty Hayes, the president of Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network, said he has the right to have a semi-automatic military-grade weapon to ensure the government does not have more power than its citizens. This is wrong because the government, though it is designed as a people's democracy, it does have more power than one single citizen. It is not safe for a citizen to have a military-grade weapon for a potential defiant act against the government. In conclusion, today I talked about the problem of gun-related crimes and then showed how having stricter gun regulations would solve these problems. Then I talked about the problem of gun-related deaths and showed how stricter background checks would also solve these problems. Then I lastly talked about the problem of civilians having military-grade weapons and showed how banning those types of machinery would solve the problems as well. Gun violence is at an all-time high in our nation despite the time that we're in of COVID-19 and has no signs of stopping in a steady incline since it is at a steady incline right now. America leads the world in mass shootings and gun-related deaths every year, according to the University of Virginia's interdisciplinary group's call to action to prevent gun violence in America. Although keeping yourself and others safe through self-defense is important, guns should not be the only method of safety. Prevention of crimes should be more important than planning for what to do if they happen. Well-executed gun laws can make the difference and save lives without intruding on America's citizens' constitutional rights.